From the center of the galaxy, this is ForceCenter, a show about Star Wars pop culture and the ultimate adventure, making Jen Landa sweat through choices. This is Star Wars Ranked. Like I said, I'm Ken Lefnick.
I'm Jen Landa.
I'm Joseph Scrimshaw, and I look forward to sweating.
We're going to sweat. We've been having a lot of fun doing this slightly different version of Star Wars Ranked. In the past, we'd have notes. We'd spend days getting our choices ready, and it wasn't so much a contest, a jockeying for position, which this really isn't, but it was you came in with a list, but now there's choices involved and there's decisions to make on the fly. And Jen Landa, you are the foremost, I won't say expert, appreciator of the Star Wars Cantina in my life, with Joseph right there and some other people I know who love spending time in this cantina. Today we're going to rank our favorite Star Wars Chalmers Spaceport Cantina customers. Why are you nervous? You know this.
I do. The problem is there's too many. And it's like, because I love the behind the scenes story of this scene sequence that I'm so torn. I'm so torn. I don't know. I have my personal favorites. I know ones that cannot be left off this list because of what they mean to all of us fans.
Mm-hmm.
There's some deep cuts. Where do we go? I don't know.
Where do we go indeed? And I'll take this time to remind everybody, about a year ago, we released the Jedi Beat, the Mos Eisley Cantina. Inside, the characters, the designs, the stories, Jen Landa's little mini doc that is out there. Do a link if you're watching on YouTube and check it out there. Joseph, I can't remember where it pops up. Yeah,
the link might be.
Joseph, your relationship here. I'll be honest with you. When I think of the Star Wars Cantina and Joseph Scrimshaw, I actually think of one particular character first. There's a lot to choose from, but there's one because it was like an early conversation I think we had that I was like, this guy loves this place, and I love working with this guy. So that's why I don't want to release the character out too soon if it's on your list. But what's your relationship with the Cantina?
Oh, I love this character, but he might get bumped. I think he might be I wish I could have included him, but. I always loved the Cantina. I think, I was drawn to Star Wars as a kid because of the lightsaber fantasy, but also just I liked anything that was weird and different. And talked before about the whole world felt a little boxy and beige, and it was you watch television and it was men in brown suits talking to other men in brown suits driving brown cars, and sometimes they'd crash into each other. And so I gravitated to anything flashy, like superheroes or space, stories, and just this other world. And the fact that as a kid, I was like, wow, look at this fantasy, these bizarre, unheard of aliens, and they're drinking at a bar, which was just as fantastic to me when I was 6 years old. And then you grow up and it's like, you understand what's so fantastic about it, about that Cantina scene, and what's so everyday about it. And some of the characters I love from the Cantina are because they're so bonkers alien and they set Star Wars on the map. And some of them are like, yeah, I could walk 2 blocks and I could bump into that guy at a real bar. And that combination of the realism of it and the fantasy of it is just so beautiful.
Looking through some of my early possibilities for choices, I'm surprised that I have as many humanoids as I do. But in a weird way, kind of what you're describing, the Star Wars Cantina is full of so many wonderful alien creature designs, and everything that we came to know and love about Star Wars kind of starts there. But also, the humans are so normal that they stand out even more to me. That they're like, wow, they're hanging out with a cricket. Look at that, or a grasshopper. I love that. And I too, I love the Cantina. Being an original trilogy generation kid, you definitely grow up with it. Joseph and I have shared stories of Wuher scaring us from real life bartenders, and that was true for a long while. My parents did a lot of work in the 80s to make sure I never had a sip of alcohol or step into a bar. And again, those are decisions to make for yourself if you want. But it stunted me socially. But Star Wars Cantina, that did actually more to keep me out of bars than my parents and their beliefs. I was like, just seems like, I don't know, you walk in there, there's a wolf man and music playing I don't understand, and Han Solo's going to shoot me.
It's practically a comedy sketch the way Luke's like, I'm ready for anything. And Obi-Wan could have pulled him back. He's like, do you know how to order a drink? No, I don't.
No. The biggest challenge in the world. All right, we're going to do this. So not going to list all the choices out there. It's the Star Wars Cantina. And I'll say this. We'll play loose with canon versus legends. The Star Wars Cantina is steeped in both sets of books and lore and anything there. So if something accidentally rubs up against one, we're not being stringent about what side it falls on. Canon legend, sometimes the truth is in the middle. So go where your heart desires. Jennifer Landa is going to start us off because, well, we've deemed it so. Jen, what's your number 10 choice?
I'm furiously writing. Okay, how many do I get total? 4?
In the end, correct? You're set up today for 4 because we gave you the most choices. Put the pressure on.
Great. That helps. So for my number 4 pick, I am choosing the Wolfman, specifically Arleal Shos, whatever. The reason why is because based on the Rick Baker Wolfman mask that Rick Baker made for, they were like Halloween masks, but I liked that he made it different than Lac Sivrak.
Yeah.
That was just a straight up mask, I believe. But Arleal was actually more customized, given red eyes, if I'm remembering correctly. Just the face looks more mangled. But I love that species now has appeared in Skeleton Crew. I just love the kind of craftiness that Rick Baker had to do because he had no time and no budget, and he just had to get it out there. And thankfully, it's still in the special edition cut today, or the Disney Plus cut.
Right, because Lack took the dive in the cut, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Replaced by Catwall.
Yes.
Okay. Awesome. Joseph, your thoughts on this one here?
I love Arleal, and I think sometimes, before I was diving is deep, I knew Lac Sivrak because before the special editions, that shot was much more prominent. And learning a little bit more of that backstory that Jennifer was talking about of like, well, that's a straightforward mask, and here's the we don't have much time. We can mess up a Wolfman mask real quick. Right. My heart's broken that for the Cantina vintage collection that they made, that Arleal was one of the rewards that I believe did not get unlocked to make an action figure of him. Yeah. But they'll probably release him anyway. I love this choice because I think in some ways it is kind of like the heart of what often works of Star Wars, as take something that's kind of known and already a part of one of the many sort of speculative fiction genres of horror and just put a bit of a twist on it, and you got something new.
Yeah, absolutely. And already the name Rick Baker's been dropped, as it should, for his work here. All right, that's a great choice. Arleal. Shos Arleal.
Shos.
Arleal.
Yeah, I also sound like it because it doesn't sound like a Cantina alien. It sounds like a character from King of the Hill.
It does. It does.
Arleal.
Arleal.
Arleal Shos didn't buy any propane.
Oh, that's amazing. Sorry, I'm putting my notes down here to make sure I got this tracked. That's a great start, Jen. See, no pressure at all. No pressure at all. We got only 200 more characters to identify in 9 choices. Joseph, your number 9.
Oh, this is hell. This is the worst one. That's what I always say on Star Wars Ranked, and I really mean it this time. But I think I'm gonna go with a character that I love for lots of different reasons, and I feel must be included, and that is Figrin D'an.
Ooh, yeah.
Is he a customer or is he not an employee? I'm sure he's getting a 1099 from Tallman. I think he's contract labor, but I bet he has drinks. Figrin D'an, famously, the Bith Jizz Whaler musician, the leader of the band, a great and weird alien design of a sort of a disturbing fleshy bulb with beady little eyes and a puckered little hole. You really can't describe him without being upsetting. I mean, it's just true in my opinion. But I think the thing about Figrin D'an is that the design is cool. It's one of my favorite details about the Cantina is taking music that is from the real world and putting a different spin on it. They spent some good time in the Music by John Williams documentary talking about he was a jazz guy. And it really shows that is jazz swing music with this space twist. It gives so much life to the Cantina. It makes it feel so lived in. All of the background sounds that were added of the Cantina denizens responding to the different songs, lightly applauding. It adds so much and it's entirely a reshoot. And if you really watch it, it's a reshoot that defies spatial logic. You don't, by watching A New Hope, you don't know where in the bar they are.
Yeah.
Right.
So Figrin D'an has a great design. The music has such power. And to me, it's a tribute to Lucas's determination to make this film what he wanted it to be. That the Cantina wasn't quite what he wanted. And he was really clever of going, we can do a reshoot and you don't need to know where logically in the bar they are. No one will worry about it. No one will care. This music will add so much. This design will add so much. And Figrin D'an is just a symbol of that spirit that made the Cantina excel to the level that it did.
You just got me lost onto the location of the band.
It's been established in cut scenes and that, but you watch the film.
Yeah.
Nobody, there's not an eye line. Nobody ever looks at them because it's entirely inserted. And this is the magic of film is 50% sound and 50% visuals. And because we never cut to any of the people applauding, but we hear it. And so they do. And we don't worry about it.
Yep. Yeah. I'm looking at the cross sections that's up on a website here, and I can't zoom in. It's hard to say. I think I'm going to go on. I'm on Tatooine on Star Wars Outlaws, and I haven't gone to Chalmers yet. I think I maybe have ran in there and meet some, but I'm going to go spend some time in there. And there's been in other video games. I'm fascinated with what you said. You're so true. I grew up thinking they were just in the middle of the floor. There was no bandstand. They were just there in the center. Jen, you've spent a lot of time studying this. Where's Figrin D'an in the modal notes?
Yeah, it's so amazing how our brain just kind of fills in those pieces. I mean, they built a band, they built the booths, they built the bandstand. ILM did some of were inside the masks. Just all of it is so weird and so great. And the fact that when I discovered that the Bith had a name, right, Figrin D'an, there's just something that's just so right about that name. It's just perfect for the band later. Yeah, I can't remember who it was. One of Rick Baker's people, I think a younger person, was like, "Oh, we need to come up with this band. I'll just use the mold from this alien that we already have to make them all look the same." Like, how genius. But lack of resources, lack of time, right? That's how it's done.
That's how you make movie magic. All right. Well, Joseph, that's a big choice at number 9. And I will say, for the first time, you have changed one of my choices. You have forced me to step it up. So one character is going to go into the I almost mentioned him, and then I will because I want to celebrate them. But I'm gonna jump it up to a character that I associate with ForceCenter. That's been mentioned many times, that I grew up going, and this is pre-card game, pre-figures having actual names. We've talked about that before, but just going, oh, yeah, that guy. And that guy, he's smoking the long pipe and his nose is a little weird. It's Danik Jericho, my number 8 choice. Danik Jericho is, he's kind of watching the proceedings, but he's so calm. And I think that's why I was drawn to him early on in my life. All the chaos going around. There's lightsabers coming out. There's limbs being sliced. There's Greedos being Greedoed. There's McClunkies flying around. He's just so like, yeah, I'm here, I'm smoking, I'm good. We celebrated the character on figure fights. It's fantastic. There's more to him. Legends, canon doesn't matter to me. And I love learning that about a guy that I spent a lot of time on the playground just going, the pipe guy. And that's part of the love I have for the Cantina. But Danik Jericho definitely is someone I think I'd want to hang out with in the Cantina because he's just so calm and collected, at least as we know.
Yeah. I love that choice because it frees up some of my choices.
Good.
But also, like, that beat is so that he's a cool alien design. You get into the expanded stuff. If he's got the proboscises that stretch out and suck brains, and like he bonkers, right? But just watching the film, that tells us so much about the bar. Of like Obi-Wan says, wretched hive of scum and villainy. Luke's had all his trouble ordering a drink and being hated for existing by Ponda Baba and that. But once all that happens, the fact that Danik Jericho is just like, it happens, it's a Tuesday morning at Chalmers, tells you that this is a violent, awful place where this stuff happens all the time. Like, you could probably have wager bets of like, gonna go into Chalmers this morning. How many people do you think will die in 2 drinks? when I drink 2 drinks, how many people are going to be dead by the time I leave? And Danik's just like, well, back to my pipe. Energy tells you that,
That's who I want to be. Jen?
I got stuck on something. Yeah, I was looking at. I'm thinking ahead. Danik Jericho's fun, but it does make me think. Oh boy, okay. I don't know if I can rely on you both to include some of my faves because this feels a little bit of a wild choice. I like that they just basically put a prosthetic nose on him, and they're like, "You're good to go." Like, what? I would be kind of insulted.
You look freakish enough now,
right?
Your normal face. Go for it.
You look weird enough to be around all these other weird-looking aliens. Sure, go ahead and smoke a pipe. But I do like. You're right. He's a regular that you can always count on, like Cheers. He's always there.
Like
even
Cheers.
Field, right? Like you just know. Oh, that's Danik. He's just there.
He's got a Frasier vibe.
Yeah, maybe he.
Niles. This space cantina is rough. Yes.
Right. So this is a fun choice.
I'm scrolling through some options. You're right, Jen. I don't know what I did to myself, but I think I stand by it. So that's why number 8, which means Jen, we're up to the number 7 choice coming from you.
I'm so torn. Okay. I'm gonna trust you guys will bring some of these other ones out. I'm not gonna go weird. I was gonna go weird. Who knows? Maybe this is on your list. I was gonna say the Yamri alien, the praying mantis character. You can barely see it. Such a cool design. I like that he's wearing a skirt, and the puppeteer, I believe, was inside the skirt. Okay, but we're not going there. I'm choosing Muftak. And the reason why I love that it's just this big, fuzzy, spider-like weirdo. But I also love that they were able to restore the costume. And I was trying to remember what Tom Spina. That's it. Tom Spina Designs took the original Muftak costume and restored it, and it looks fantastic. And I just love that it's lasted because I think some of the other like latex masks have disintegrated over time. And Rick Baker actually did kind of restore some of those old masks. But I just love Muftak. I think Muftak would be fun to hug. And it just seems like a lovable furry character.
Muftak, the pickpocketing tolls. I don't disagree with you. And he's got the straw snoot. Got a lot of things going on there. How many eyes, Jen? 4 eyes? At least?
Eyes. Yeah.
His fur looks a little matted, though. It might be, look, I used to have some ferrets in my life. It's kind of like hugging a ferret. A little off smell, but they're there for you. They're loyal. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, that growing up, before there was lots of internet and everything, there's a shot where Muftak adjusts the thing. Did you interpret that as like a tooth, a part of Muftak's anatomy, or like Muftak was eating a candy bar? When you were a kid?
I don't know.
Ken?
I try to remember. I might have thought it was a piece of licorice.
I thought it was somemehow how Muftak was talking. Like I can only talk by adjusting this thing.
That could work.
That's a good point. I don't know.
Okay. I'm gonna. You know what? I got some homework. I'm gonna be watching that today. I think I'm gonna go through it all. This yeah. Great.
I want to make the costume. It's like fur that I see at Joanne Fabrics. If I just was a better seamstress, I did the long Furby. Can I do a Muftak?
Can you do a Muftak?
Long Muftak. Come on.
That'd be fun.
All right. We're off and running. This is great. Let's see where we're at. I mean, I thought this would be pretty simple. It's not. God, it's not. Okay. That means though, Joseph, we're up to your number 6 or our 6.
Yeah, and this is hell because I already have to make decisions about do I do the characters that I feel like made the greatest impact, or is it more about my own personal faves? But since I'm only on my second choice, I'm going to go with personal fave, and it goes with Muftak, and it is Kabe.
Yes,
Kabe the Chadra-Fan.
Yes.
I gotta look up if this is accurate. Homeworld is Chad. I'll have to look
Cabe
up
from
on
Chad.
modern Wikipedia and see if that's true. Like, where do you hail from, Chad? It's again that like the sort of magic of Star Wars of like it's kind of an animal we know. Cabe is kind of a like little bat person, but it's about the like just the charm of the shot of clearly. I assumed as a child that this alien is of age and just short. But the way Cabe has to kind of reach up with those little gimme hands for her drink, just the design of a weird little bat person combined with the shot of all sorts of different aliens have different ways of ordering their drinks, and I do love that Chadra-Fans as a species became more popular and have populated the galaxy. In publishing, there have been prominent Chadra-Fan characters, a couple of them, and I would love a more prominent on-screen Chadra-Fan character to honor Cabe.
Cabe. Yes. That's there are many ways, like you said, to order a drink in a bar, and Cabe has one of them, and I love it.
Grab your hand.
Jen, was Cabe on your list? Did you trust us?
I did. I'm so glad. I'm so glad she was included. I just love that she wants her drink. She wants it now. And as a kid, I just remember being like, oh, okay, maybe I could go there. I guess I wasn't scared. I was encouragaged. Yeah.
Okay.
I love Cabe.
Cabe is great. Cabe's a winner, at least in our minds here. All right, now we're in the top 5.
Oh boy.
Gosh. See, it's the do you want to go with your heart, or do you want to be, I don't know, I want to say cute, but just like, hey, I want to make sure I represent this, that. I'm also, tell you what, I also feel as I'm going to cheat here a little bit.
Oh, we're going to do a twofer?
I think I'm a twofer, and I can't deny it. I got to go Ponda Baba and Dr. Evazan.
All right.
Oh.
I gotta go with it.
You just made things so much easier for me.
Oh, good. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I don't feel they're the best of the best in terms. I think there's some more interesting choices after, and this one's a little bit obvious. But this goes to what I was talking about. It goes to the moment of if I'm afraid if I'm walking into a bar. This is up until like my mid-20s, so when I actually regularly started walking into bars, I was afraid I was going to meet Walrus Man and Grubby Human, a.k.a. Ponda Baba and Dr. Cornelius Evazan. It was terrifying to me as a kid, that whole sequence. And not fully understanding, as a kid, understanding that, no, they're threatening his life. And Evazan, I got the death sentence on 12 systems. That freaked me out. But I loved it. Not in the Rancor scared me, or some of the, Large Marge from Pee-wee's Big Adventure scared me as a kid. I just this carried on. Where I was like, look, if you go in bars, there's a chance someone with death sentences is going to not like the way you ordered a drink. And then, therefore, them showing back up, and there's a robust life for them in Legends, but them back in canon, I think that they are the definition of a cameo in Rogue One. And I always liked it. I always defended it when there were a lot of people back then. Not that it wasn't like one of the bigger Star Wars debates, but I was like, no, that's fun. That's fun, man, because that harkens back to my early love of Star Wars. Dr. Aphra series, Dr. Evazan comes back in full. A lot there. So they're classic characters. I think of the Cantina. I think of them. Top 5 pick for me. Jen?
Yeah, fantastic.
Great choice. I'm so glad. I think that this is appropriate, this spot. I love that for Dr. Evazan, the lore that's come out, and his the craniated,
yeah.
Yeah, like that's just fascinating. Ponda Baba, obviously, has kept fans talking ever since we saw the cut of his hand.
Right.
Wait, yeah. So yeah, I love it. These are iconic characters.
Yeah.
So yeah. This is a great two-for, and I love Cornelius Evazan, and I love how much we know about him, because even when I was a teen and finally got the VHS tapes and was able to watch this more, he was just like messed up guy.
Yeah.
And he was not, there wasn't an action figure, so he wasn't that level of legend that Walrus Man was. I treasured that Walrus Man action figure. I still have it with the flipper feet. His head is so loose, it's gonna fall off any second. And I blissfully remember turning a corner at a store and seeing an action figure of Walrus Man, and it said Ponda Baba, and I was like, "What now?"
Yeah,
that was my journey with this character. Ponda Baba is another design that's like, okay, it's kind of related to an Earth animal, but it is so alien, and I think it's a perfect alien to see through Luke's eyes as a scarred, grizzled human, and an alien that Luke can't even determine where's the orifice, where's that noise coming. Not only can I not understand the language, I can't see the body part it's coming out of. What the hell is going on? So alien, so weird, but also, again, it struck a chord with us, Ken. We hadn't experienced it yet, but it comes from absolute truth. When I was visiting Minneapolis, my dad wanted to go hear some of his friends play in a band. And my dad was kind of teasing me about, like, do you think you're going to get a martini at this, bar we're going to go to? And I was like, well, there's some neighborhood bars where you can order a martini, and there's somewhere that's going to maybe, get some Ponda Baba vibes from you of who do you think you are? We don't like you. Like, you didn't do anything. We just don't like you. So we went into this bar, and everyone turned and looked at my dad and I. And my dad and I were both just wearing, jackets and gloves and nothing to make us stand out. Right. It was just such a neighborhood bar. It was like, who are you? And luckily, nobody went, we don't like you. Or nobody went, I think what's happening with Ponda Baba and Dr. Evazan is like, we're so drunk, we're going to pick a fight with the first person we don't recognize.
Yes.
That naivete and that innocence rolling off Luke. They're just drunk and angry. And like, we're going to fight with the first person we don't recognize. And nobody in that bar had a problem with us, but they all clocked us as, you're the Luke Skywalker. This is a neighborhood bar and we don't recognize you.
Yeah.
And it was a long alley down the bar to where the stage was. And it was like a sea of heads turning and staring, going, we don't know you. Do we want to have a problem with you? And luckily, everybody decided not to have a problem with us. But that scene happens. The scene with the Walrus Man is real.
Yes. Yes. You're making me think. There was one time I was doing comedy in Corona, California. Me and my friend, this was years ago, about 10, 15 years ago. We walk into a bar, and it was like, the music stopped. Everyone looked at us. There was motorcycles outside. And then the owner came around, and she looked at us, and she literally waved her hands and went, no, everyone, don't worry. They're the comics. And it was like, and then in my head, I'm like, but what if we weren't? What does that mean? What does that mean?
I don't like your jokes. He doesn't like them either.
Yeah, and I had quite a night where someone walked up on stage and tried to do an act instead of me. Yes. So, anyways, Ponda Baba, Dr. Evazan. Jen, I don't know how many bar fights you've been in, because you revealed some things here that we wouldn't, Grateful Dead fan, bar fighter. I don't know.
Yeah, this is why I won't travel to certain parts of the U.S., especially now. So number 4, I'm going to rely on you both because I have 2 that are non-negotiable on my list. They have to be on our list. If they are not, the commenters are going to be mad. We have to include them. But I'm going to trust that you guys are going to at least pick one of those. And then I can shuffle.
This is a leap of faith, Jen. A penitent person shall pass, and leap of Indiana Jones stuff. Okay. Anyways.
Don't let me down.
Wrong show.
So I'm going to go a little weird.
Number 4.
Not weird. No, this is not weird. I could go with the Sorens. I'm not going to. I could go with Ponslebik. We're not going to go there. I'm going to choose the Devonian, and I forget his name. And the reason why was there was another Rick Baker monster. The reason why was, I remember as a kid, especially because I grew up going to church, the fact that there was a devil in the bar was like, how much more explicit.
See, we're telling you. The devil is in that bar.
The devil is in that bar. You do not want to be there. This is bad. This is sinful. I remember being like, well, I don't know. That's what happens when you go to bars. So it was told to me.
This has been a fascinating episode of Life Center.
Right. But I also love that the Devonian came back. It's come back, that species. And I believe one of my favorite episodes from The Mandalorian, it was the one with the prisoner.
Yep.
Was that what it's
Yeah,
called?
yeah.
Prisoner?
Yep. Season 1.
Oh, and who was it? Clancy Brown? Fantastic. And again, there is something that just is in me when I see a devil. I'm like, oh boy, run. So I just love it. And so I'm putting it on this list.
I love it. And there's a couple name choices here. Again, we're dancing between legends and canons. There's and Joseph, maybe you have some insights here. Cardu say Malik, but also Labria or Labrea are the names. But the Devonian is for me.
Yeah, I knew him as Devil Guy for years when I discussed Star Wars with other people. And then he was a part, from my perspective, I'm sure he got the name in a role-playing game or something, but from one of those Cinema Scenes 3-packs that Power of the Force put out, Cantina aliens. And and I saw, the devil's name is Labria. The devil's name is something you better pronounce very carefully so people don't think you're talking about something else. Amazing.
The devil at work.
Another amazing choice, Star Wars. And now I look at Wikipedia and see that instead of Labria, his name is Carduse Malik. And Labria is an alias he used to travel under.
Yes.
So when those action figures were being made, he didn't want to be found.
Exactly. Jen, I think it's a great choice. I think this is for 2 seconds of screen time or whatever it actually was. Like this was a timeless character. Again, you think Cantina, you're not gonna say Labria or Cadu say Malik. You're gonna be like, oh, devil guy, and it pops up right away. Absolute legend, and I agree with that choice. Wonderful stuff there. All right, Joseph, we are up to your number 3 or our number 3.
Oh boy.
And then Jen, you're at number 1. Take it home.
This is my last choice, huh?
Your last choice.
This sucks.
Come on, choose the one I'm thinking. Choose the one I'm thinking. All right, come on.
Okay, I have on my list to consider, I have 2 human weirdos who are close to my heart, and they're the ones I want to choose. But I feel I can't let the aliens down, so I'm going to go with the alien, even though I want to choose the human weirdos. Well, one of them isn't human, but he presents as human. Anyway, my choice is, because I feel he has to be on the list, is Momaw Nadon.
Thank you. Okay. Okay. There we go.
Yes. Again, I'm sharing a lot of from my perspective. There were the 4 Cantina aliens that Kenner made action figures of: the Greedo, Walrus Man, Snaggletooth, and Hammerhead in his little blue jumper. And then, of course, eventually with the name Momaw Nadon. I always loved Hammerhead, as I called him for years. Momaw Nadon, just a bonkers, weird alien. We've had a lot of fun with the Star Wars having success of, like, it's a bat creature, it's a furry spider, and it's a wolf man who's had some sort of face accident. Okay. Momaw Nadon is the potential of Star Wars. Momaw Nadon is George Lucas going no weirder. That you are true. It's one thing to make this sort of, like, claim of, like, aliens beyond your wildest dreams that you've never seen before. Momaw Nadon fulfills that promise, that desire. And I always loved him as a kid, but it really drove home for me. I have a friend who's about 10, maybe 12 years older than me, saw Star Wars in the theater, so when he was 13, 15, so like a teen. So he had already been a science fiction junkie and, watched every episode of Star Trek, the original series where aliens had face paint of some kind and maybe different hair. Or old episodes of Doctor Who where they were very imaginative but limited by budget. And I always remember him saying to me, of just like, I almost fell out of my seat. I was thrilled and frightened because Hammerhead was truly bonkers, unknowable, alien, and like this is different. This is different than anything I've ever seen. People always talk about it that in terms of the special effects, but I think in terms of design, Momaw Nadon is the one that puts Star Wars into a category of its own.
I really agree, Jed. And you had to have this character here.
This character had to be on there for the action figure of it all, for the actual puppeteering aspect. I was just reminding myself it was John Berg who was like puppeteering just the head. It's just so weird. And then I loved how the Ithorians, the species, we've seen them so much more. Like in the Skeleton Crew, there were so many. Or even like with the Book of Boba Fett with the mayor and hearing how it talks, which I believe we actually got one in the Clone Wars too, right? Was it Clone Wars? Right. But just seeing all that, I just love it. To me, is quintessential Star Wars, quintessential weird Star Wars. It had to be on this list.
Awesome.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I was just rewatching Book of Boba Fett, like I've been saying on the main show, and Mayor Mok Shay's. I was just watching the use of that character, Robert Rodriguez voice, the character, well, kind of voice the character voices the translated version of the character on screen, and I just was marveling of like how far we've come from this shoulder up, Phil Tippett, John Berg puppeteering thing to this mayor sitting here. And yeah, the mayor's not up and run around, but Skeleton Crew, we start getting that. But just I think Mayor Mok Shay's is just a wonderful use of a legacy design, like you're saying, Joseph. It really established things, and it was Momon was on my list. Yes, there's the hammerhead of it all. It's part of that. We are part of that generation of. I remember the moments in like the early '90s where I was like, "No, the name's Hammerhead. What are you talking about?" I didn't play the card games. I didn't know. But I love where we are, Momaw Nadon. I also love the description. I'm on this one website about Star Wars Who's Who. Exiled from his home planet for revealing agricultural secrets to the Empire in order to save his world. There's a lot going on. Legends or not, I think there's a lot to this character. Love it. Great choice. Number 3. Oh, Jen, are you ready? This is getting tough because I've got number 2. You've got number 1. And there's a lot of choices left. And there's the players in the background you want to point a spotlight at. There's the legends. There is the expanded edition, special editions from the 90s that introduced some classics. And I just scrolled up to one that I was like, how could I not include that one? But I can't. I am going to go with the classic, Jet. I hope this doesn't ruin your day.
Oh, shoot. All right.
Because when I think Cantina,
oh, no. I
think Mr. McClunky himself, Greedo.
Okay.
Greedo is my choice at number 2. Okay. Is Greedo a happy customer? Is he a happy denizen? No. No, and there's some great storytelling from a certain point of view books. I count the Phantom Menace deleted scene as canon in my head. Be careful, Greedo. There's something I love about Greedo being just the sad sack bounty hunter that can't get the job done, and he pays the price. But it's the design. Again, talking about the threat. I don't want to repeat the talking point, but the threat of a bar. Not worried about Han shot first or not. Any of that debate. I'm not worried about it right now. I'm just worried about celebrating Greedo, this wonderful character that is so alien. It is so, oh my God, we're in a space bar, but also Greedo's got a sensible vest. The design of the finger. I don't know how the fingers pull the blaster at all to shoot first, second, or otherwise. I absolutely love everything about Greedo. From the first introduction I had with Greedo in my young childhood to the McClunky of it all, which I still think I stand by as one of my favorite little George things. Oh yeah, one little final thing. We're adding in this beat. I love it. I love Greedo. Want to celebrate Greedo. I have a few Greedo action figures, and that is a delightful alien that does some bad things in that cantina. So I like Greedo. My number 2.
Yeah. I think that's phenomenal. I think Greedo's design is, he just as bonkers in some ways as Momaw Nadon, and gets to be like the real hero alien in terms of how much pressure. Greedo's eyes are beautiful.
Yes,
and the weird little lip, puckered lip twerk put on to make him speak. So cool. In design and sound, and also what a terrible bounty hunter. Like, people make fun of the Bond villain monologue about here's what my plan, and now I'm going to kill you, Miss Bond. It sits down like, well, Han Solo, here's why I'm going to shoot you today. You know, and then on top of that, like second death in what 10 minutes, 7 minutes. Like it's a rough day, Almonds. It's a really high body count.
Absolutely. Sorry about the mess. Jen, did I take some pressure off your number one choice? And what do you feel about Greedo? What do you feel about McClunky?
I think Greedo is the perfect Cantina character. I think the design, Stuart Freeborn design, repurposing an alien from a Bird's Eye green pea commercial and then making it even weirder. So it has that kind of like retro futurism space alien vibe, but making it new and original. And just it's the Rhodian species. Every time it comes on screen, I just it's as I said, quintessential Star Wars. So I love this pick.
Good.
Now it changes mine.
Is Greedo going to be your number one?
Greedo you had Greedo number one?
Yeah, but you know what? Maybe this is for the best.
Okay.
Did everyone share their thoughts?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Okay.
Your number one choice.
I may throw a wrench into this whole damn thing. Okay, so I can't choose this, but I could say why that it could be my pick. Hem-Dazan, the first alien we see, right? That's kind of cool. But do I want to be a jerk and be like, what if? What if it's not just the Cantina customers? Without this character, the Cantina would not be what it is. And that is, we're the bartender. Do we say that? I don't know. How are we feeling? I'm up for a vote.
Well, I'll just say, when I was scrolling up to Greedo on my sheet here, Hem-Dazan popped up, and I went, that is the first. That is the first out of the gate. But I haven't lived with the influence of Hem-Dazan as I have other characters. That's why I backed off.
Exactly.
Joseph?
Exactly.
You did great cut, great pop into the frame from Hem-Dazan. But there's not a huge emotional relationship there. I don't think you will ever get me to vote against the bartender in any way. I don't know the proper pronunciation. I say Wuher, which is what I said when I saw the name for the first time. Who knows if it's correct? I will never. I'd vote for him for elected office. I will never vote against Wuher as a character. Incredibly important character. You know, Ken and I have gone on and on about the look he gives Luke and just that. But he captures that just sort of tired exhaustion of real life. He is not an exotic, bizarre, interesting design. He is the actual bartender you might find in a rural desert town with, more sensible clothing that can breathe. He's, I got no problem with that.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So no, I'm gonna at this point you have to choose, and then I have some thoughts on either character. I'm also scrolling down to make sure I got some information in front of me.
I know.
Yeah, there you go. Okay. All right.
I mean, like, look, there's Snaggletooth, as you guys talked about the action figure aspect of it, which could be great, right? But like, there is something to me about like what you're talking about, Joseph. Wuher anchors the scene. He ups the stakes and makes it a much more like, it's already weird and wild and potentially dangerous, but there is something that like anything goes. Like he's no nonsense, but if someone's going to rip your arm off, he's still going to continue making drinks. Like he's not going to help you. You know what I mean? That to me is what anchors this character and makes the Cantina scary and real. And I have the most like emotional response to the character. I just can't think of any other that is worthy of this number one spot. Am I forgetting someone?
No, look, I think the answer is Wuher. Again, keeping in the time-honored tradition of say the Star Wars names how you want them until some episode of a cartoon corrects you. Wuher, to me, everything that Joseph and I have said today or over the years of just the grumpy bartender that sets the tone. But he's the center of it. There's something going to what I was saying at the beginning of it, of this episode, Jen, of we're surrounded by grasshoppers and devils and werewolves. And in the center of it, the scariest person of them all is this dude who is listed as a human male from Tatooine. But I got to tell you, no disrespect to Ted Burnett, the guy who played him, not the one who voiced him, but the guy who played him. He looks more alien than some other character. I don't know, the nose, the face, is it all? I don't know what's going on. The scowl. He's perfection. Yeah. He's absolute perfection. And in a cantina that's just so wild you can't believe it. This one grumpy human in the center of it. And by the way, there's a bartender at the smokehouse that kind of reminds me of him and Joe Don Baker being smashed together. And therefore the guy's worked at the smokehouse for years, and I've never talked to him. I've never ordered a drink because I think my Wuher feelings carry over, that I already think he's going to be like, so I stay back.
I gotta go in and face the Wuher trauma and see if I can approach this guy.
Wuher and the great actor Joe Don Baker. Joseph, you're going to walk in, you're going to see you start laughing because it's
that's hilarious. That's hilarious because if they had done like a Wuher spinoff, they would have cast Joe Don Baker with like some prosthetics to make him look more like Wuher. Yeah, I think that one of the other things I like about his contributions, Jennifer, you're so right about anchoring the scene, because we see him, he's scary because we're in Luke's perspective, right? And it's that sort of like that social, I don't know what to do, and this is a guy who's going to yell at me when I do it wrong, so he's scary to us. But we see him try enforce rules, right? No droids. Droids aren't allowed, kicks them out, right? And then he tries to enforce the no blaster rules by screaming no blasters, no blasters, as he ducks out of the way. So it's like he's this authority figure who's going to keep control of this bar and immediately loses control.
Immediately.
So, and he already yelled no blasters once, didn't work. So by the time he sees Greedo out there, like, I guess it's a blasters day here at Chalmers. Who cares?
It's a blasters day. Sorry about the mess. He doesn't question it; just takes the money.
That's
blasters
right.
out. Sun's out. Blasters out at Chalmers today.
So there you go. I think that's a great way to round it up here. We'll go to some close calls here, but number 10, Arleal. 9, Figrin D'an. 8, Danik Jericho. 7, Muftak. 6, Kabe. 5, Ponda Baba, Dr. Evazan. 4, Labria or Cardu Say Malik. 3, Momaw Nadon, a.k.a. Hammerhead, but you don't get to call him that. 2, Greedo. Number 1, the bartender. Wuher at the center of it all. Some close cut, almost made the list choices, Jen?
The Yamri, Pon's Limbic, as we were talking about before. Hemdazan. Was it Godel? I can't remember. It's just too many.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Joseph, hold on. I'm scrolling up. I want you to close with some of your choices here, but what is the name? This was my almost too cute pick. Scrolling up to the beginning. It is Damano Damali. Who is a littler person. I want to be unsure, but the actor named Jeff Moon plays Damano Damali, who is a human male dressed in what we now know as Jedi robes, but clearly not a Jedi, unless maybe in Legends. Did not know the character's name until 2015. But in the Empire of Dreams doc, this performer, Jeff Moon, there's a great shot where they're talking about the Cantina. Mark Hamill's giving a speech of, the script, it was great. And in reality, we got there. It was like a guy in a costume. But he has and he's doing a little face. He's he's making this little face. And he just always has stood out. And I love that he's there. But I haven't lived with him being an influential Star Wars character, so I didn't want to get too cute. So shout out to Damano Damali. Hemdazan I had on my list as well. A couple there. I wanted to maybe consider the Tonica sisters. I think there's quite a legacy with them. I grew up with them as almost, did I dream it? Did I dream it? Or there's 2 women at the bar with the hairdos. Did I see that? Even though you could pop in the VHS and watch it, it just was one of those playground conversations. And to see them grow and they get mentioned other places, they're back here and there, and some figures and all that kind of stuff. It's just been kind of fun. But I didn't have that much of a relationship with the characters as I did others, so didn't make my list. But Joseph, I'm sure there's many more.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many, and there's just so many different directions you
Yes.
can go. I think the Tonica Sisters is great to include. Um, I like Dice Ibigan, the basically tentacle with the mouth. I like the addition of something that's like physiologically not at all, even any sort of human-like form. Is a great one. My others are all humanoid. There one that I just love that I only discovered the name of much later in life, Debnoli.
Right.
He's the just super depressed human who's near the bar, who's just like utterly unaffected by anything going on around him, just like and It's a Wonderful Life, when Jimmy Stewart is experiencing life as it would have been without him. He goes to the bar, and it used to be a friendly neighborhood place, and now it's a cruel place. And the bartender, Sheldon Leonard, I believe his name is, this is a serious bar for people who want to drink hard liquor and get drunk fast, and like that's Debnoli. So love him. I was tempted to include the person that Ken was talking about, Boshek,
right.
The pilot who we see introducing Obi-Wan and Chewbacca, and I've always been fascinated with him. Just the like, I can't do it, but you know who could? This guy here, the Wookiee. Just a great look, and brought Boshek up to Ken, because I think Ken, when he has no beard and no longer sideburns, has really got a real
Boshek
vibe in a good way. I mean it as a compliment. I think Boshek's a handsome man.
Looks wise, I'm fine with it. I also, the big what if of your destiny could have been something else if you just took a job. That seems, I can relate to that too. Boshek was right there. Right there.
If Boshek is like, I don't feel like going to Alderaan today. But yeah. And the final one for me is a little too cute, but it's sincere, of expanding beyond actual Star Wars, the film, to the Star Wars Holiday Special. I love Krellman.
Yeah.
I love the comedy of a character who's just so in love with the bartender, and I love the pouring the drink straight into his head. It just never get old to me. So shout out to Krellman.
There you go. Harvey Korman in Star Wars. You can't do wrong there. You can't do wrong. Well, there you go. We've done it. We have ranked our favorite Star Wars Chalmers Spaceport Cantina denizens, customers, and employees. We know that out there you might have some thoughts. Who we left off, who is on your list. Please share them in the comments down below. We love seeing them. We'll react to those as well. And don't yell at us about our choices. Defend your choices if you disagree. But how could you disagree about Muftak? Absolutely not. You can find us on social media at ForceCenter Pod. You can get merch at TeePublic or our Fourth Wall Shop, link down below. YouTube. Hey, if you're watching YouTube, do us a favor, subscribe, like the video, and all those things that really do help build the channel. Even more podcasts is available in a lot of spots. The podcast version, just search, you'll find us. And you can support us directly at patreon.com/ForceCenter. Follow me at Ken Napzok or my website, kennapzok.com. Jen, where can they find and follow you?
You can find me on Blue Sky at Jennifer Landa or Instagram at Jennifer Landa.
At Jennifer Landa. Also, links in the episode and down below of Jen's wonderful Jedi Beat Redone version of the Mos Eisley Cantina. Check it out. One of our best things here to come out of ForceCenter. Joseph, where can they find and follow you?
Yeah, you can follow my website. You can find my website at josephscrimshaw.com and follow me on Blue Sky, and links on my website for the blog I do every week, Finish Your Monsters, and for information about the film I'm working on called Dead Media, all on josephscrimshaw.com.
Hey, the way it's all going, we're all going to be back on Live Journal by the end of the year, I think. The way to go. That's it for now. We'll see you next time. Star Wars has been ranked.